Hi everybody, welcome to the Epic Marvel Podcast. My name is Kurtis, and in this video we're going to be talking about X-Force. I'm going to talk about the X-Force Epic Collections, what has been collected, what's coming up, what can we expect. In the 1980s, Marvel launched a companion title to their already really popular Uncanny X-Men. They called it New Mutants. And the idea was to bring the concept of mutants back to its core with having young teen characters as the primary focus, kind of like what the original X-Men used to be before they all grew up. This one lasted all through the 80s, and in the 90s, in the early 90s, the book was kind of taken over by Rob Liefeld and kind of radically changed. They changed the focus, these characters grew up, they became soldiers, and it became more of an exciting, edgy, pre-Image book. Definitely a concept that Rob Liefeld would go on to take when he went over to Image Comics to do his own thing over there. Now, I'll talk about the New Mutants in a different video. You don't have to worry about that here, but it's important to know the history because at some point here, New Mutants changes its title to X-Force. So this here is volume 7, there's one more volume after this, volume 8, and then we get not New Mutants volume 9, but X-Force volume 1. This collects the first several issues of X-Force, along with the first annual and a crossover with Spider-Man and a crossover with Wolverine. Love him or hate him, Rob Liefeld was an extremely popular guy in the 90s. He made a huge splash in comics, and his style was bold and dynamic at the time, and people loved it. They ate it up. And he still has a pretty strong fan base to this day. Now, he only does a portion of the stories in this book because he leaves to go over to Image partway through, and then Greg Capullo takes over. So we'll see that along with Fabian Niciesa's writing through this book here. Deadpool shows up for all of you Deadpool fans. I know you'll love that. After Volume 1, we have Volume 2, Executioner's Song, and this is the famous story where we find out about Cable's relation to this character named Strife. It all comes to a head in this story, which is a crossover between X-Men and X-Factor and Uncanny X-Men. Like, all of those titles, including X-Force, form a big, big story, and the entire multi-part story is all in this one big volume. But we also get the 2-issue Cable Limited series called Blood and Metal. That's also included here. With some of these smaller titles, it's been the pattern for Marvel to release them in chronological order, and it certainly seemed that that was going to be the way with X-Force Volume 1 and Volume 2. We expected to see Volume 3 next, but it's been announced, but as of this video, it hasn't been released yet. We are going to be actually seeing X-Force Volume 7, which is called Zero Tolerance. And this launches the X-Force Epic Collections into the late 90s. That is a new direction for X-Force, where they kind of leave the team and go off and do their own thing. So we are excited to see some more of that stuff reprinted, because I don't think that stuff has been collected yet in other collections. That whole era of the Operation Zero Tolerance and what came after is known as the Road Trip era. And after the Road Trip era, Warren Ellis was brought on board to kind of reinvigorate some of the X titles, and he did that with this thing called Counter X, and really reimagined X-Force at the time. Whether the Epic Collections will collect the Counter X stuff, I don't know. Will they cut it right before that, or will they cut it after that when the title actually turned into X-Statix? Peter Milligan and Mike Allred went into a wildly different direction when they took over X-Force with issue 116. They left all of the characters aside and brought in a brand new cast and a new concept with reality TV and stuff, and it is so different that eventually the title was renamed X-Statix. I'm certain that if they don't cut it off at Counter X, that the Epic Collections will definitely cut it off at X-Force 116 when the title turns into this X-Statix stuff, because it's so radically different, and Marvel has been reprinting this in their own line of trade paperback collections as well. That's it for my X-Force video. I hope you had a good time watching this. Please leave me a comment to let me know if I got anything wrong, or if I need to correct anything, or if I missed anything. I would be happy to address that in the comments. If you can, please hit the subscribe button and maybe give me a thumbs up, give me a like. And feel free to share this with all of your friends on social media, whether it's through your own YouTube page or if it's through Facebook or Twitter or what have you. It's great to get the word out. You'd be helping me out a lot. You can find other overview videos on my YouTube page, and if you've hit the subscribe button, you'll be notified when I put up new ones in the future. And other than that, I think that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.